You're listening to the Dibbly Dobbly Podcast. Remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, and click the bell to make sure you get the latest episodes of the podcast. Be sure to like and share our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter and on Instagram. Hi everyone and welcome back to another episode of the Dibbly Dobbly Podcast. And on today's episode, we're reviewing the second semi-final of this ICC T20 World Cup for 2024 between India and England. And it was a complete team performance by India with bat and ball in this second semi-final. And they were worthy winners and they completely outplayed England in all three departments in this second semi-final. For India, they've got their revenge after what happened to them 2 years ago in that semi-final at the Adelaide Oval in 2022, where England went to win that game by 10 wickets and went on to win the tournament 2 years ago in Australia. But India have got their revenge in the semi-final rematch 2 years later to book their spot in the final against South Africa this Saturday. And obviously India are one of the favourites to win this whole entire tournament. And they showed us in this second semi-final why they are one of the favourites to win this whole entire T20 World Cup. For England, simply they were completely outplayed. They didn't bowl well. They leaked too many runs. They batted poorly as well on a very difficult pitch in Guyana. And they couldn't overcome the juggernaut that is in India. And they weren't able to get the job done. England and their T20 World Cup campaign comes to an end. So there was plenty to talk about from this second semi-final between India and England. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's have a look at the match summary from the second semi-final of this ICC T20 World Cup for 2024 between India and England, the Guyana National Stadium. India batted first and made 7 for 171 from their 20 overs. Rohit Sharma top scored with 57 and Chris Jordan took 3 wickets for England. England needed 172 runs to win. They got bowled out for 103 from 16.4 overs. Harry Brook top scored with 25. Kuldeep Yadav and Axar Patel took 3 wickets each for India. India won by 68 runs and Axar Patel was named player of the match. What were the key moments and key factors? The second semi-final of this ICC T20 World Cup for 2024 between India and England from the Guyana National Stadium. Rohit Sharma's innings of 57, plus the partnership of 73 for the third wicket between Rohit Sharma and Suryakumar Yadav were key to ensure India got to their total of 7 for 171 from their 20 overs. India's bowlers getting England 3 for 39 in the power play, then to 6 for 68, put England on the back foot in the run chase very early on. And that proved to be difficult for England. They were on the back foot. And India were able to bowl England out for 103 in 16.4 overs to ensure victory. So those were the key moments and the key factors from the second semi-final of this ICC T20 World Cup for 2024 between India and England. Let's talk about how both India and England performed in the second semi-final of this ICC T20 World Cup for 2024. And we'll start with the Indian team, of course, and talk about their performance with bat and ball and talk about how they went about things in this second semi-final against England. We'll start with the batting, first of all. Another good batting performance by India. As they've done in this T20 World Cup thus far, they've just found ways and adapted to conditions quite well with the bat. And they did the same thing here in this semi-final against England on a very difficult pitch. Posting 171 was a good score, well above par in the end, and it proved to be too difficult for England in the run chase. Rohit Sharma was good again, 57 his innings of 39, really set the tone again for India. And that's what he did against Australia when he scored a quick fire 90. Just setting the tone and really playing with that aggressive intent and showing the other Indian batters, this is what I want you to do, play in this manner. Look to be attacking, look to take the game on. And Sharma has done that throughout his whole entire career. And very good innings from him, really set the foundation platform, along with a good partnership that Rohit Sharma shared with Suryakumar Yadav. 73 for the third wicket, really got India off and going. They put pressure on the England bowlers and adapted well to the conditions. Obviously, this pitch here in Guyana, low and slow, turning. The Indian batters have grown up on wickets like this in the subcontinent. So you expect them to adapt well to conditions with the bat, and they did. They timed the pace of the innings quite well. They didn't play expansive shots early on. They did the basics well. They rotated the strike. They picked off the singles. If the England bowlers straight off their lines and lanes bowled them a poor delivery, they put it away. But they really took their time early on in the innings just to set up the foundation and the platform. And then they really accelerated towards the end. England leaked too many runs at the death, and India were able to capitalize on that. So, yet again, another dominant display with the bat from India. Maybe the only concern was probably Virat Kohli not scoring runs again. He's had a bit of a quiet T20 World Cup, 9 off 9 in this game. He'll be hoping for some big runs in the final come that game against South Africa, obviously. He'll be hoping to contribute to India's success in the final if he can with the bat. That was probably the only talking point, really. Virat Kohli not in the runs again. But other than that, some very good contributions from Suryakumar Yadav, Hardik Pandya and Jadeja to support Rohit Sharma. Did pretty well for India with their batting display. So yet again, another good batting display from India, showing their capabilities with the bat in this semi-final against England. Let's talk about the bowling from India quickly. And it was a good bowling performance, defending 171 with ease in the end, really. Adapted well to the conditions. They know how to bowl on these types of surfaces, the Indian bowlers. Growing up in India, you're going to be bowling on wickets that are going to keep low and slow, turning and spinning. So you've got to really adapt well to conditions. And they certainly did that, really. You have a look at their bowling attack. They've got 3 quality spinners, including Axel Patel and Jadeja, who bowled well in this game. And then you've got the seamers who can adapt in Bumrah, Arshdeep Singh, and Hardik Pandya. They just know how to bowl on these types of surfaces and really put pressure on the opposition. They certainly did that to England in this game. The important thing was to take wickets in the power play, to really put England on the back foot, and that's what they did. India had England 3 for 9 in the power play. That was soon to be 4 for 46, then 5 for 49, 6 for 68, 7 for 72, 8 for 86, and 9 for 98. So it just shows you when you take early wickets in the power play, and especially on a pitch that's keeping a bit low and slow and turning, it can definitely put a lot of pressure on the opposition, and that's what the Indian bowlers did to the England batters. Yes, again, Kuldeep Yadav and Axel Patel, that tandem and combination, taking 3 wickets each in their respective spells, did the job again for India, like they did against Australia, where they kept the runs down and picked up wickets in that game against Australia. They bowled really well in that game. They've done the same thing here against England, bowled really well in tandem to really put the screws on the England team. And also Jasprit Bumrah showed his class as well, and he bowled well. And also India got a couple of run-outs as well for their wickets. So it was another good bowling display, another strong batting display from India as well. I think they'll be pleased with this performance. They now play in the final against South Africa, which is going to be a game that many people think they should win. But when you go into games like that as favourites and you don't win, and the underdogs, in this case South Africa, win, a lot of people will question that. But for India, they've been the most complete side in this T20 World Cup. They're one of the teams to beat. They deserve to be in the final. Same with South Africa. They've been a very good side as well. Both teams have been undefeated in this tournament, which has never happened before, where a team has won the T20 World Cup undefeated for the entire tournament. So either India or South Africa will achieve that feat come the final in Barbados. But going back on India, good batting performance, really strong with the bat there, good bowling performance and fielding performance as well from India, and simply outplayed England in all 3 departments in this game. And no doubt, they will be firm favourites to win the final against South Africa. Let's move on, talk about the England team, talk about their performance with bat and ball in the second semi-final against India. Out with the batting. Chasing 171 on this difficult pitch is going to be difficult for England on a pitch that kept low and slow and turning here in Guyana. It was going to be difficult, and that proved to be the case. They failed to adapt to the conditions. There were poor shot selections from the batters from England. They just didn't adapt to conditions. They lost too many wickets in the power play, which really put them under pressure. They were 3 for 39 after the power play. And then before you know it, they were 9 for 98. So it just shows you the loss of early wickets, the pressure that was put on them was telling in the end. And especially on a pitch that is difficult, chasing a big score of 170, of course, you've got to be attacking. You've got to be aggressive. You've got to attack the power play. Yes, you may lose wickets in the process, but if you can get above the required run rate, you've got a chance. But for England, they just couldn't get anyone established at the crease. There was no partnerships of any substance. No one really took responsibility to play a big innings. Buttler tried to do that. Harry Brook tried to do that, but they failed. Same with Liam Livingstone towards the end. He tried to do that, but then got out. And then Jofra Archer, came in towards the back end of the innings and smashed 21 off 15. But before he came in, it was too late when he came in at the crease. So, very disappointing from England. Their batting has been up and down in this T20 World Cup. And in this game against India, on a difficult pitch that was turning, the Indian spinners were getting some turn and some purchase. The seamers were getting low bounce and making it difficult. It was just too much for England in the end. Buttler, he'll look back and probably say maybe should have batted first. I think that's probably the mistake that England made, is that they probably should have batted first on this type of surface, put a score on the board rather than chase. Whenever it comes to semi-finals or knockout games or semi-finals and finals, you want to be batting first. You want to set the tone. You want to put a score on the board, put the opposition under pressure. So I think looking back in hindsight is a wonderful thing. I think looking back in hindsight, Buttler would think, probably we should have batted first. I can understand why he chased. England tend to chase all the time. That just suits their game plan. But also, we had a bit of weather in Guyana. Obviously, Duckworth-Lewis is a factor if the game was heavily impacted by rain, which it was a little bit, but then we were able to get back on and get a full game in. Looking at that, Buttler could have done things a bit different there in terms of the chasing. Rather than chasing, probably bat first rather than chasing. But as I said, you look at these things in hindsight. So the batting overall was pretty poor from England, and really it sort of had an inevitability about the batting, really, that it was going to be difficult and probably England would collapse badly, and they did. They were bowled out for over 100, which was an indication. So they'll be disappointed about the way they batted on this surface, England. Moving on, talking about the bowlers for England quickly. Plain and simple, they pretty much leaked too many runs. 171 was way too much on this pitch. It was well above par. Just too many runs, really, that they leaked. Didn't adapt well to the conditions with the ball compared to the Indian bowlers. They didn't put India under any sort of pressure early on in the innings. They lacked early wickets in the power play. If they took early wickets early and put India under some sort of pressure, they would have been within striking distance of probably winning this game, England, in terms of doing that. But they weren't able to do that. India were able to set a platform and get off to a good start. There was probably some talk about playing another spin option, seeing that the pitch turned a bit. Obviously, Moeen Ali didn't bowl. So Buttler didn't bowl Moeen Ali at all in this game. He's the second spinner alongside Adil Rashid. They did bowl Liam Livingstone for his 4 overs, which went for 24. Rashid bowled his 4. He took a wicket, 1 for 25. But no one, Moeen Ali. He didn't bowl at all. So probably something that England could have done differently. Could have bowled him for another few overs. Maybe could have made a difference. I don't know. Also, they got Tom Hartley in the squad as well, England. They selected him for this T20 World Cup, Tom Hartley. Obviously bowled well in India during the Test series early this year. Maybe there was a chance for him to play in this game, but England decided to go against that. But overall, just leaked too many runs, really. Curran was expensive. Jordan was expensive. Archer was expensive. Topley bowled well. Same with Rashid. But the others were a bit expensive with the ball, really. And 171 was just too many runs, really. And the Indian batters feasted on those poor deliveries that the England bowlers bowled. So England overall, with the ball, disappointing. Leaked too many runs. The batting was poor as well. I found it difficult on a very difficult surface to chase the runs down. And I think England would be disappointed at the result. But I think at the same time, they should be pleased that they made it to a semi-final in this T20 World Cup. No one really predicted them to be in the semi-finals, given how poorly they played at the start of the tournament and could have faced elimination early on after the group stage, but they managed to qualify for the Super 8s. They'll be disappointed, but no doubt this England T20 side, a lot of these players, probably won't be in the next T20 World Cup in 2 years' time. When you look at Buttler, Ali, Bairstow, Jordan, Rashid in particular, they may not be featuring in 2 years' time. So probably this was the last roll of the dice for those players to win another T20 World Cup. So overall, England disappointed that they didn't win. But at the end of the day, you just got to say they were outplayed by a very strong, committed Indian team who are most likely one of the favourites to win this T20 World Cup overall, come the final against South Africa. Some concluding thoughts to end on our review of the second semi-final between India and England in this T20 World Cup for 2024. After losing to England by 10 wickets in the T20 World Cup 2022 semi-final at the Adelaide Oval, India have got their revenge 2 years later. They completely outplayed England and showed in this semi-final why they are the team to beat in this year's T20 World Cup. They now face South Africa in the final on Saturday at the Kensington Oval, and India will go in as favourites and are looking to win their first T20 World Cup since 2007. But they will know South Africa will be tough to beat and they will have a challenge on their hands. For England, they were simply outplayed by India in this semi-final. They gave away too many runs with the ball, and on a turning low and slow pitch, they weren't able to adapt to conditions and fell way short of the target. Thanks everyone for listening to our review of the second semi-final of this ICC T20 World Cup for 2024 between India and England. If you're watching or listening to this episode of the podcast on our YouTube channel, let us know in the comments your thoughts on this second semi-final of this ICC T20 World Cup for 2024 between India and England in the comments. We would love to hear what you have to say. Thanks for watching and listening. Until next time, keep safe and bye for now.